Well, guys, thank you for joining us today for another Flare Forward where we have Bryce from Turnkey. And I'm super excited to talk to Bryce because I think one of what he is bringing to the table is really going to make blockchain more accessible and a lot easier to use. We're going to reduce this friction, I think, with him, but I'm sure he's gonna tell us all about it. So I'm super excited for this call, especially for what's going on. So, well, you want to take it away, my friend?
Yes, of course. Hi, Bryce. Nice to meet you, man. Okay, so in Flare Forward, we always ask for the origin story. What got you into this madness called crypto?
Yeah, I feel like my story in some ways is typical, where back in 2017, a friend told me about Ethereum and I put a little money in and the price went up and I was like, okay, there's something here. What's going on? And very, very quickly fell down the crypto rabbit hole. I was working in consulting at the time, which was something I'm glad I did for a little bit, but not a long-term career for me. And so jumped over to Coinbase in 2018, and the rest is history. So really fell down the crypto rabbit hole. While I was at Coinbase, was working on Coinbase Custody and really building that from the ground up. Ended up meeting my co-founder Jack there. And it was a kind of crazy time in crypto. It was a bunch of institutions entering the space. A lot of the things in crypto were being figured out for the first time. So launched the first staking products at Coinbase, really helped institutions start to allocate funds into crypto for the first time, and saw how things were evolving. It was just a very, very exciting time to be in the industry.
For sure. Yeah, I started in 2020, but I'm sure I missed the 2017
Yeah.
timeframe.
I mean, it was like the crazy bull market of 2017, and then right as I joined Coinbase, it was just downhill from there. It was deep bear market for a long time, and there were a lot of friends that were like, "Are you okay? Is everything going to be fine?"
Well, but I think that speaks volume because it's easy to join this market when everything is going up. And I think that the people that stick on the bear markets are the people that are passionate. So my next question to you is, why do you do this? Like, other than making a living, of course, what drives you to keep showing up?
Yeah. I think it was a really great time to join the crypto industry because I was surrounded by a lot of people who were just very, very passionate about the ideas behind crypto, decentralization, democratization of access to these financial services, trying to create a true new financial system and expand economic freedom throughout the world. And those ideas just really resonated with me. And I think as I have started Turnkey, and we can get into a lot more detail about what Turnkey actually is and the problems that we're trying to solve, I just realized that there was a gap in how consumers and how businesses were able to interact with crypto and how they were able to build in the industry. And so a lot of what we have been trying to do with Turnkey is making it easier for folks to build these mass market applications and to kind of accelerate that transition to a crypto forward world. So as I mentioned, me and my co-founder, we previously built Coinbase Custody, and I think it's a really incredible product that brought a lot of institutions into the space. But one of the realizations that we had was it was a very narrowly scoped product for wallet management and key management in crypto. It served this use case of hedge funds holding $500 million of Bitcoin really well, but not much else outside of that. And so our realization was there needed to be a true infrastructure approach to private key management to give people that toolkit underneath the hood to build whatever crypto application that they wanted. And so in 2022, we started Turnkey with that vision of creating very flexible APIs around creating private keys, signing transactions, and then creating policies around how those private keys are accessed. I think it's funny because you hear that it's like API-driven private keys or easy authentication to private keys, and most people back in 2022 would have said, "Why does that not exist? What do you mean you can't use an API key to sign transactions in crypto?" And it was just a huge gap in the market. Nobody was thinking about this. Nobody was taking that infrastructure approach. So Turnkey with those primitives can be used in a lot of different ways. On one hand, people use that for broad transaction automation. So this is a business who is signing transactions on their own. This could be everything from big payments companies to folks like Polymarket that use us to secure the smart contracts underneath the hood, or Phantom that uses us for treasury management for their Quest program, all sorts of things in that realm. The other side of the house is everything around embedded wallets. And for folks that don't know what embedded wallets are, this is the idea of having simple Web 2 style logins where you don't have to think about crypto. You don't have to write down your seed phrase or download a separate app. You're able to just sign in with your email or sign in with a social login and have a crypto non-custodial wallet underneath the hood to take those actions. And so this has just led to a huge influx of new applications that bring on crypto normies. So great examples here are folks like Moonshot, which is the #1 meme coin trading app, drove a ton of the meme coin craze over the last year, where you can just sign in with an email and get started trading, and you don't have to think about crypto under the hood. So that's kind of it from a high level product perspective. Behind the scenes, we've solved a lot of really, really tough technical problems. Not going to get too deep into the weeds, but we use trusted execution environments to securely store these private keys and ensure that only the end user has access to those keys. And it's a really holistic security model, covers a lot of these angles. We come from a security background. Coinbase Custody, we were storing billions and billions of dollars of crypto, and we wanted to bring that level of security to anyone who was building in crypto.
Yeah, that's amazing. There's a guy that has a wallet called Oxenflow, and I'm pretty sure they're using your technology to sign in. And that's what he explained. It's like you sign in with your email, and then half of your keys are stored on a TEE on your device that can only be unlocked with your face. So in my head, and maybe I'm getting old school, like crypto old school, but I feel like the less barrier of entry might also mean that you also take things less seriously. Like I get it that some people don't want to worry about the secret keys and keeping them hidden, but I feel like there's the other side where if it's super easy, you might not take security as serious. But I'm guessing you have thought about this, and how do you, like, what keeps this super secure, even if it's super easy to access?
Yeah. So one of the differences of Turnkey versus some of these other providers is we've abstracted away the private key to these authenticators that the user holds. So these are cryptographic authenticators held on the user's device that allow them to then sign with the private key that's held in the trusted execution environment. This is a lot more secure than having a private key held on the user's device, because that private key just floating around is a honeypot for malicious actors. They're trying to sniff that. They're trying to get access to that. And if they ever get access to that, you might be in danger and not even know it. They could wait for the exact right moment to drain all of the funds in that wallet. These authenticators, on the other hand, they can be scoped by time, by separate policies to really reduce that blast radius and make sure that even if a malicious actor got access to that authenticator, there isn't much that they could do. So we have really tried to balance usability with security and offer a lot of tools to customize this to the specific user type or use case. The way that an enterprise is going to want to hold $50 million is very different from a user signing up to a social app where they might have a $5 NFT in that. And so our vision is to, again, create this toolkit where it can be very customizable and people can tailor those trade-offs to their own application.
Awesome.
So,
and then if I change my device, then how do I import my keys to the new device? Is there a secure way, or do you still have to write down your secret keys and import them manually, or how does that work?
No, so again, the key is in the trusted execution environment, and these different authentication methods that we have can be fully cross-device. So if you use your email to sign in on your laptop, you can use that same email to sign in on your mobile device.
Awesome. Go ahead, Steve.
I was curious, how many networks are you a part of right now?
Yeah, this is a big differentiator of Turnkey. So one of the things that we realized at Coinbase is you're never going to keep up with crypto. You're never going to be able to have super deep package support for every single network.
Oh, so complex. Couldn't even
Exactly.
imagine.
Yeah, I mean, there were times at Coinbase where we would have clients call us up screaming at us because we didn't support an asset quickly enough. And they're like, we're losing money here. We need to get this. And it's like, we're working as fast as we can. I'm sorry. Like, we just have these very packaged solutions for every single asset. And so what Turnkey did is take a much more modular approach to asset support. So the lowest level is just the cryptographic curve of the private key. So different assets use different cryptographic curves. And as long as we support that cryptographic curve, you can use Turnkey with that. Above that, we then have higher level abstractions for things like deriving addresses or constructing transactions or policy parameters, and have deeper support for the most common ecosystems. But people are building on Turnkey across almost every ecosystem you can imagine. So Flare, obviously, but EVM, SVM, Bitcoin, Sui, Aptos, Move, XRP, Stellar, the list goes on and on.
Oh, that's amazing. So then the next question is,
I think I might want to buy some of that.
why did you choose Flare to work with?
Yeah, I mean, I just think that you guys have been really pushing the limits of some of the ease of use with crypto. And it was a pretty perfect marriage of Turnkey's focus and Flare's focus.
Oh, if like, what's the way if a developer is uh, doing an app or a wallet or whatever, like how can they get in touch with you and what's that process like?
It's really straightforward. So we're an open platform. We're free to sign up. You can go to turnkey.com and start playing around with it today. Have really deep documentation for all of those different types of use cases, whether you're trying to do back-end transaction automation or you're trying to build these embedded wallets for end users. And our door is always open. You can message us on Twitter or reach out to us on our community Slack, which you can find in our documentation.
And then can you upgrade? Like I have Bifrost wallet, which is one of the main wallets for Flare. Can you upgrade the technology or do you have to create a new wallet?
We're a separate wallet from that. So there's this idea of having external wallets like that, or a MetaMask or a Phantom wallet. And then Turnkey is its own wallet provider. So you would integrate Turnkey into your application to have that easy onboarding process for users.
Oh, okay, super nice. And then I think we skipped like, what's your vision for crypto in the next 5 years?
Yeah, we did. That's one of our favorite questions. Or it is in 5 years. How does it affect?
That is a hard one. Yeah, I think Turnkey as an infrastructure provider, we don't want to be opinionated about how things evolve. There are obviously trends that we're excited about, and I can touch on that in a second. But we have built Turnkey in such a way that it can easily evolve with the industry wherever developers are excited and wherever they're trying to push. And that was the big thing that we realized with these other providers that were too narrowly scoped. They kind of painted themselves in a corner over time. So at Coinbase, with Coinbase Custody, we saw a lot of other key management providers come into the market, and they were able to get toeholds in areas that Coinbase Custody was just too narrowly scoped to attack. In terms of where things go from here, I think we are now in a position where a lot of the scalability concerns around blockchains have been solved. It's way cheaper to do transactions on chain. You can move much more quickly. Things are a lot faster. And so a lot of the experimentation right now has been at the user experience level. So how do you abstract away crypto? How do you have embedded wallets in really easy ways? How do you abstract away some of these cross-chain aspects? Do things like account abstraction to make it easier to sign transactions. And I think there are a few trends around payments and AI where we're just going to see the number of transactions on chain just go way, way up, and people are going to start interacting with crypto without even knowing it. You want to have the applications where your parents can sign up not knowing anything about what a blockchain is and send money cross-border or manage their finances or have access to all of these tools that we use in the degen world that people aren't using day to day elsewhere.
That's so
Absolutely.
funny because Whale's favorite comment is how emails work, right? I mean, grandmas don't know how emails work. He doesn't know how emails work. He just knows how to type it, hit the send button, it's going where it's going. Like he doesn't care how it's built, what it's built. He just needs to know it's doing what he wants it to do. That's it. That's all he cares.
Exactly. Yeah. Users come in with a job to be done. They want to accomplish something. They don't care about what's happening under the hood. You're not signing into a website and saying, "Hey, this is powered by AWS under the hood. I like it because it's powered by AWS." And so the really powerful thing is as these networks and infrastructure providers think about how do you abstract this away? How do you make it so you don't have to think about what's happening under the hood and you can just complete that task that as a user you want to do? The nice thing is Turnkey allows for just completely arbitrary signing and is, again, a very abstracted solution. So we're able to serve all of these new use cases and all these protocol innovations as they come to market.
Amazing. Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's a line where you guys are walking parallel with what Flare is trying to accomplish. I mean, you have like a very specific mission and seems like you're doing it really well.
Yeah.
And then Flare is using TEEs to be able to sign on other chains. So you're going to use Flare consensus to sign transactions on Bitcoin or XRP or whatever. So from one wallet. And I think that that's going to be an incredible abstraction in the future.
100%. Yeah. People shouldn't even have to think about which assets that they're holding. They should just be able to do that cross-chain all under the hood.
Awesome,
So
Bryce.
I got a kind of off topic question. Do you DeFi on any particular chain?
I feel like I am always experimenting. Most of my experimentation has been on EVM, SVM. I definitely got caught up in the meme coin craze a little bit. Lost a lot of money left and right. But yeah, it has always been something that I love to poke around and play with.
Are you
Yeah, so I think a couple things that we're excited about. Those two use cases around embedded wallets and transaction automation, we're continuing to invest in making it easier and easier to implement and to have kind of broader functionality there. So going to be having a lot of integrations with ecosystem partners and other tools that folks use alongside Turnkey's wallet and signing product. And I think the other piece is I mentioned a little bit about how everything is deployed into trusted execution environments, and we do so in a verifiable way. We're looking to open up that platform so folks can even deploy their own verifiable applications on top of Turnkey's infrastructure. You can kind of think of this like an off-chain smart contract where there are tight controls around how that code is deployed and can change, and then it's fully transparent and verifiable. So we've had a lot of interest from clients around some of the more centralized things in crypto that they'd like to do in a more verifiable way. So everything from off-chain order books to verifiable AI agents or cosigners, or even running things like oracles, sequencers, relayers within these trusted execution environments. So stay tuned. That there are going to be a lot of things in the coming quarters that we push forward there.
No, that sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's definitely an exciting new thing. I think that piece of our product is a little bit of a new frontier. It's basically bringing a verifiable AWS to the market, and we have early inklings of how people are going to use this. But I think the coolest thing when you bring products like that to market is the ways that you didn't even imagine people use it, and you give them access to that, and then they come up with ideas that we haven't even thought of.
But it also builds more trust in the overall system. I love that, that like you're getting all this verifiability, which is one of the things, like some of it's, there's lots of bad actors, lots of big problems. So, getting some more verifiability and more good feeling, I guess would be, it's probably not the bet for lack of a better word, just a good feel about everything, how it's going.
Totally.
And then I have a last question. Why do you use TEEs instead of zero knowledge proof?
Yeah, they're both TEs and zero knowledge proofs are trying to solve some similar problems around trusted execution of specific code. Zero knowledge proofs, it's a little bit earlier days in that, and being able to operate that at massive scale where it's cheap enough, fast enough, etc., is challenging. So a lot of the thinking behind Turnkey's product is pragmatism about where the market is right now and opening things up for builders. So we want to build a product that can be used in the current world, and TEs just have a lot more flexibility at this point where you can deploy completely arbitrary code. Cost and speed it is a lot more favorable to builders at this point. And it just gives folks more flexibility.
Yeah, we had an interview with Ugo and the team from Flare, and they were saying that TEEs are somewhere between 1,000 to 10,000 times faster, and that zero knowledge proof, there's no way to keep the privacy. Like you don't share, but they're not like private environments. So very nice.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for the answer. Awesome. All right, Bryce, is anything else you want to add?
I think that's it. But like I said, our doors are always open for builders. I think the exciting thing about Turnkey is it really opens up the canvas for the different products that you're allowed to build and able to build. We see very, very innovative use cases left and right on Turnkey, and people are really pushing the limits of crypto UX. So follow us on Twitter, give us a shout if you're looking to build something, and would love to work together.